The trial chamber smelled like blood and burned metal. Princess Isla kept her claws retracted while the Council of Claws read her crimes aloud. 17 counts of refusing diplomatic marriage proposals. 9 instances of threatening visiting dignitaries. For dead courtiers who had made the mistake of touching her without permission. The list went on, each charge more ridiculous than the last. She did not apologize. She would never apologize. Her father sat on the high throne, his silver scales dulled with age. Sovereign Callus had stopped looking at her years ago. Now he stared at the wall behind her head, pretending she was already gone. "You bring shame to the Draken name," Council Leader Vorn said. His voice echoed through the stone chamber. "You refuse to wear the veils. You refuse to speak softly. You hunt in the sacred forests without permission. You are wild, princess, uncontrolled, dangerous." Isla wanted to laugh. They called her dangerous, but they were the ones who had put a metal collar around her neck when she was 14. The neural inhibitor pressed cold against her scales, dulling her emotions, making everything feel distant and gray. They had locked it there after she killed Lord Barracks for forcing himself into her chambers. Self-defense, she had called it. Murder, they had called it. The collar was her punishment. Her cage. "The council has decided," Vorn continued. "You will take the prototype warship Talon's Edge to our military outpost in the frontier systems. This mission will prove your worth to the sovereignty, or it will be your last flight. Either outcome is acceptable." There was the death sentence wrapped in ceremony. Isla knew the ship's reputation. 3 test pilots had died trying to fly it. The navigation systems failed without warning. The reactor leaked radiation. But the council wanted results, and they wanted her gone. This solved both problems. Her father finally spoke. "Do you accept this mission, daughter?" The word daughter felt like a slap. She met his eyes for the first time in months. "Yes, sovereign. I accept." She left the chamber alone. No guards followed her. No servants packed her things. She walked through the palace halls for the last time, her claws clicking against polished stone. Other Draken moved aside as she passed. Some looked at her with pity. Most looked at her with disgust. The Talon's Edge waited at the military dock. It was beautiful, she had to admit. Black metal hull shaped like a predator in flight. Weapons hidden under smooth panels. Engines powerful enough to tear through real space. It was also a death trap, but Isla preferred dying in flight to dying in a cage. She climbed into the pilot's seat and ran through the pre-flight checks. Everything looked perfect on the surface. The systems hummed with power. The controls responded smoothly. But she noticed small things wrong. A fuel line connector that vibrated too much. A navigation display that flickered for half a second. Warning signs hidden under layers of good design. They wanted it to look like an accident. Fine. She would give them an accident. Isla launched without clearance, ignoring the angry transmissions from flight control. The ship tore through the atmosphere with beautiful speed. She felt the G-forces pressing against her chest, felt the ship responding to her touch like a living thing. For a moment, she forgot about the council and her father and the collar around her neck. For a moment, she was just flying. The navigation system failed 3 hours into the jump. No warning. No alarm. The display simply went black. The ship lurched hard to the left, throwing Isla against her restraints. Automated systems tried to compensate, but without navigation data, they made things worse. The Talon's Edge spun wildly through the void. Isla took manual control. Her training took over, instincts sharper than any computer. She felt the ship fighting her, felt the engines overheating, felt the hull starting to buckle under impossible forces. But she was Draken. She was a predator. She did not surrender. She could not save the ship, but she could choose where it died, that a planet appeared on her sensors. Small, mostly agricultural. No military presence worth mentioning. Perfect. Isla aimed for the least populated area she could find and braced for impact. The ship hit ground like a meteor. Metal screamed. Systems exploded. Fire consumed the cockpit. Isla felt bones crack and scales tear. The collar around her neck sparked and burned her skin. Pain overwhelmed everything else. Then silence. She woke to footsteps crunching through debris. Her vision blurred with blood and smoke. Someone was climbing through the wreckage toward her. Human, she realized. Male, wearing work clothes covered in grease and dirt. He carried a tool bag over one shoulder. He stopped when he saw her. Most species ran when they saw a Draken up close. Humans especially feared them. But this one just stared, his brown eyes taking in her injuries with calm assessment. Well, he said in perfect galactic common, that's going to be expensive to fix. Isla tried to speak, tried to threaten him, tried to do anything, but her body finally gave up. The last thing she saw before unconsciousness took her was the human pulling out a medical scanner and muttering something about stabilizing her spine. The last thing she heard was him saying, "Hold on, I got you." Nobody had ever said that to her before. Everything went dark, and for the first time in years, Princess Isla felt something other than rage. She felt curious. Pain woke Isla before her eyes opened. Every scale on her body felt raw. Her left wing hung useless, probably broken in 3 places. The neural collar buzzed against her neck, malfunctioning from the crash damage but still active. Still controlling her. She opened her eyes slowly. Unfamiliar ceiling. Metal rafters. Hanging lights. The smell of machine oil and welding fuel filled her nostrils. Not a medical facility. A workshop. You're awake. Good timing. I was about to check your pulse again. The human sat on a stool near her, eating something wrapped in paper. He looked completely relaxed, like having a deadly alien predator in his workspace was normal. His clothes were still covered in grease. His hair stuck up in several directions. Isla tried to sit up. Her body refused. Simple rope bindings held her arms and legs. She could snap them easily once she recovered her strength, but right now she could barely move. Where am I? Her voice came out as a rasp. My workshop, about 40 miles outside the main colony settlement. Name's Owen Garrett. I run a salvage operation here. He took another bite of his food. Want some water? You've been out for 6 hours. 6 hours. She had been unconscious and helpless for 6 hours, and this human had done nothing except tie her up with rope that would not hold a juvenile Draken. Isla studied him carefully. Brown hair, average height for a human, hands scarred from years of mechanical work. He looked completely ordinary. Why did you not report me? She asked. Owen shrugged. Colonial authorities would have sold you to whoever paid the most. Figured you'd prefer not being merchandise. He stood and walked to a small refrigerator, pulled out a bottle of water, and set it within her reach. I'm going to cut the arm bindings so you can drink. Try not to kill me. I got a lot of work to do today. He cut the ropes around her right arm with a small knife, then stepped back. Isla could have lunged at him, could have ripped his throat out despite her injuries. He knew it too. She saw the calculation in his eyes. But he had still given her the choice. She took the water bottle and drank. It was cool and clean. Better than anything she had tasted in the palace. Your ship's pretty much destroyed, Owen said, returning to his stool. He pulled out a data pad and showed her images. The Talon's edge looked like twisted scrap metal. Reactor cracked, hull compromised in 40 places, navigation core completely fried. I can fix it, but it'll take at least a month. Maybe longer. A month. Isla's claws extended reflexively. I cannot wait a month. Then you'll die. Owen's voice stayed calm. That reactor's leaking radiation. If you try to fly now, you'd make it maybe 10 minutes before it melted through the containment. Trust me, I've been fixing ships since I was 12. I know what I'm talking about. Isla wanted to argue, wanted to threaten, but he was right. She had felt the reactor failing during the crash. Flying now would be suicide. Why are you helping me? She asked. Owen was quiet for a moment. Because you needed help, and I could give it. Does it need to be more complicated than that? Nobody helped without wanting something. That was the first lesson she had learned in the palace. Everyone wanted power or money or favor. Everyone had an angle. But this human just sat there, eating his lunch, offering help like it cost nothing. The collar, Owen said suddenly. That's not standard equipment, is it? Isla's hand went to her neck automatically. The metal was warm from her body heat. It is a punishment. For what? For being myself. Owen nodded slowly. He did not press for details. Did not demand the full story. He just accepted her answer and moved on. I've been researching it. That's a neural inhibitor, third generation. Nasty piece of work. It's suppressing your emotional responses, isn't it? You know about these devices? Saw them on slave markets when I was younger. My dad worked shipping routes through the frontier sectors. I saw a lot of things I wish I hadn't. Owen's face hardened. Can it be removed? Is fused to my spine. Removing it would require surgery I cannot afford, and a surgeon willing to work on a Dreeken. Both are impossible. Nothing's impossible, just expensive and difficult. Owen made a note on his datapad. Let me do some research. I know a doctor who specializes in cybernetic implants. She might have ideas. Isla stared at him. You would do this? Remove my collar? If I can, yeah. That thing's torture. Nobody should have to live like that. For the first time since the crash, Isla felt something other than pain and anger. She felt hope. The collar dulled it immediately, pressed it down into gray nothing, but for a second it had been there, real and bright. I do not understand you, she said quietly. Owen smiled. Yeah, I get that a lot. Listen, I'm going to start working on your ship's reactor today. You should rest. Your body's healing fast, but you still need time. There's a cot in the back room and some food in the refrigerator. Help yourself. He stood and walked toward the workshop's main area, then paused. Oh, and Princess, if you do decide to kill me and steal parts to fix your ship faster, at least wait until I finish the reactor work. You'll need those specs to avoid radiation poisoning. Isla almost laughed. Almost. The collar suppressed it. But Owen was already gone, the sound of tools clanging echoing through the workshop. She lay back on the medical bench and closed her eyes. For the first time in 15 years, since they had locked the collar around her neck, Princess Isla felt like maybe, just maybe, she could be free. All because of a human mechanic who treated her like a person instead of a monster. Strange. 3 weeks had passed since the crash. Isla's body had healed almost completely, the broken wing now flexing properly, the torn scales growing back harder and darker. She spent her days helping Owen repair the Talon's edge, learning more about ship mechanics than she ever had in flight training. He taught her how systems connected, how energy flowed through circuits, how to diagnose problems by sound alone. Owen was welding a reactor panel when the proximity alarm chimed. He stopped immediately, pulling off his mask. We've got company. Isla's claws extended. What kind of company? 3 ships. Medium range. Armed. Owen pulled up the scanner display on his datapad. Mercenary signatures. They're hailing us. The communication came through on the workshop's main terminal. A Celtic face appeared on screen, reptilian features twisted into what passed for a smile among his species. This is Varro of the Broken Chain crew. We're looking for a crashed Dreeken vessel. Skin says you've got one in your yard. Owen stepped in front of the camera. Yeah, I've got wreckage. What's it to you? The pilot. Where is she? Died in the crash. Body burned beyond recognition. I've got some salvage if you're buying, but that's all. Varro's eyes narrowed. The Dreeken Council is offering 50,000 credits for her return. Alive or dead. Now, I don't know you mechanic, but I know greed. You're holding her for ransom, aren't you? Planning to sell her yourself? I'm telling you she's dead. Scanner logs confirm it. You're wasting your time. Then you won't mind if we search your facility. The transmission cut. Owen turned to Isla. Tunnels. Now, I can fight them. 5 armed mercs against 1 recovering princess? No, we do this smart. Owen grabbed a pack filled with supplies and led her to a hidden panel in the workshop floor. Below lay old mining tunnels, remnants from when the colony first started. Stay down here. Stay quiet. I'll handle this. Isla wanted to argue, but Owen was already sealing the panel. She moved through the darkness, finding a position where she could watch through a maintenance grate. Her predator vision adjusted easily to the dim light. Varro and his crew arrived 10 minutes later. They tore through the workshop like scavengers, breaking equipment, throwing tools aside, searching for any sign of her. Owen stood in the center of it all, arms crossed, saying nothing. Where is she? Varro demanded. I told you. Dead. Varro backhanded Owen across the face. The human stumbled, but did not fall. Blood ran from his split lip. You're lying. The crash wasn't severe enough to kill a Dreeken. Their biology is too resilient. So where is She, dead. Owen repeated. Varro hit him again. Then again. Isla watched from below, her claws digging into the stone floor. Every instinct screamed at her to attack, to protect, to kill these mercenaries for touching what was hers. But Owen had asked her to wait, had asked her to trust him. The beating continued. Owen took it without breaking, without giving her up. His face swelled, his ribs cracked, but he never pointed toward the tunnels. Isla could not watch anymore. She exploded from the tunnel entrance like a missile, moving faster than the mercenaries could track. But she did not kill immediately. Owen had taught her about tactics, about using the environment. She collapsed a pile of scrap metal onto two mercenaries, crushing them under tons of debris. She grabbed a welding torch and sprayed burning gas across another's face. He screamed and fled. The fourth mercenary raised his plasma rifle. Isla used Owen's workbench as a springboard, launching herself over the shot, landing behind him. One claw struck to the back of his neck. He dropped without a sound. That left Varro. The Celtic pulled a pulse pistol, but Isla was already moving. She batted the weapon away, then grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off the ground. Her claws pressed against his scales, just hard enough to draw blood. You touched him, she growled. Give me one reason not to tear you apart. Varro gasped for air. Council wants you alive. Worth more alive. I do not care what the council wants. But even as she said it, Isla realized something had changed. The older would have killed Varro instantly. Would have killed them all. But Owen's voice echoed in her head, talking about consequences, about thinking ahead. She dragged Varro to his ship's communication panel. You're going to tell the council that I died in the crash. You're going to file a report confirming it. You're going to leave and never come back. And if I refuse, Isla pulled out a data chip. Owen had given it to her earlier, though she had not understood why. Now she did. This contains your ship's black box data. Every illegal job you have done for the past 5 years. Every murder, every smuggling run, every slave you transported. I send this to Galactic Enforcement, and you spend the rest of your life in a prison cell. Varro's eyes went wide. How did you? The human is very good with computers. Isla tightened her grip. Do we have an agreement? Varro nodded frantically. Isla released him and watched as he sent the false report to the council. The other mercenaries limped back to their ship, dragging their injured. Within minutes, they were gone. Isla returned to Owen. He sat against his workbench, holding his ribs. That was pretty tactical, he said through swollen lips. You taught me. Yeah, but I didn't think you'd actually listen. He winced as she helped him stand. Thanks for not killing them. I wanted to, I know, but you didn't. That's growth. Owen smiled despite the pain. Now help me to the medical bay. I think they cracked 3 ribs. As Isla supported Owen's weight, she realized something important. He had taken a beating to protect her, had trusted her to make the right choice, had given her the tools to win without killing. Nobody had ever trusted her like that before. Owen's ribs healed slowly over the next week. Isla made him rest, taking over the heavy repair work on the Talon's edge. She discovered she enjoyed the puzzle of fixing things, of understanding how pieces fit together. Every repair felt like reclaiming something the council had tried to destroy. Late one night, while Owen slept in the back room, Isla sat with her claws pressed against the collar around her neck. The metal felt heavier than usual. She had worn it for 15 years. 15 years of dulled emotions, of feeling everything through gray fog. She barely remembered what real happiness felt like, or real anger, or real anything. Can't sleep. Owen appeared in the doorway, moving carefully because of his injuries. I was thinking about the collar. Owen sat beside her on the workbench. I talked to my contact, Dr. Amaris Singh. She's a cybernetics specialist on the research station 2 systems over. She thinks she can remove it, but it won't be easy. The collar has tendrils woven into your brainstem. Your nervous system has adapted around it. Removing it could cause serious damage. Or it could kill me. Yeah, or that. Owen was quiet for a moment. It's your choice, Isla. I won't push you either way. But you should know what you're living with. That collar isn't just suppressing aggression. It's suppressing everything. You're living at half capacity, feeling half of what you should feel. I know. Isla traced a claw along the collar's edge. Sometimes I wonder who I would be without it, if I would even recognize myself. Only one way to find out. 2 days later, Dr. Amara Singh arrived in a small research shuttle. She was a tall human woman with silver hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She examined Isla's collar with scanning equipment, her expression growing darker with each reading. "This is torture," Amara said bluntly. "Whoever designed this knew exactly what they were doing. It's not just limiting your emotional responses. It's rewriting your neural pathways, making you docile, controllable." She looked at Isla with something close to anger. "How old were you when they put this on?" 14. "You've had this for 15 years? Your entire personality has developed around this thing. Removing it will be like removing a piece of your brain. You'll have to relearn how to feel, how to react, how to be yourself." Amara set down her scanner. "I can do it, but you need to understand the risks. The pain will be severe. You might experience emotional overload. Your instincts might go haywire. And there's a 10% chance your nervous system will shut down completely. I will take that risk." "Are you sure? Because once we start, we can't stop. If we leave the procedure halfway, you'll die." Isla looked at Owen. He had given her so much already. Freedom to choose. Trust to grow. A chance to be something other than what the council made her. "I am sure." The procedure took 6 hours. Amara worked with careful precision, using microlasers to cut the tendrils away from Isla's brainstem one by one. Isla had to stay conscious throughout, her body too complex for standard anesthesia. The pain was unlike anything she had experienced. Fire burning through her spine, knives cutting through her thoughts, every nerve screaming. Owen sat beside her the entire time, holding her claws when the pain became too much. He told her stories to distract her. Stories about Earth before humans reached the stars. Stories about his grandfather who built ships with hand tools. Stories about his daughter who loved dinosaurs and wanted to be a paleontologist. "Why did you leave Earth?" Isla asked through clenched teeth, needing something to focus on besides the pain. "My marriage fell apart. I wasn't a good husband. Too focused on work, not enough on family. My ex-wife remarried a better man. My daughter barely remembers me now." Owen's voice was soft. "I came out here because I was running away. Thought maybe on the frontier I could be someone different, someone better." "And are you?" "Better? I don't know yet. But helping you feels right. Feels like maybe I'm doing something that matters." Finally, after hours of agony, Amara cut the last tendril. She used specialized tools to remove the collar itself, carefully unwinding it from Isla's spine. The metal came away with a soft click. Everything hit Isla at once: rage, joy, fear, love, grief. 15 years of suppressed emotions flooded through her nervous system like a tidal wave. She roared, a sound that shook the workshop walls. Her claws extended fully, her wings spread wide. Every instinct screamed at her to attack, to hunt, to kill. But Owen's voice cut through the chaos. "Isla, you're okay. You're safe. You're free. Focus on my voice. Come back." She focused, grabbed onto his voice like an anchor. Slowly, so slowly, she regained control. The emotions were still there, overwhelming and intense, but she could feel them now, really feel them. It was terrifying and beautiful all at once. Isla collapsed onto the medical bench, breathing hard. Amara monitored her vital signs while Owen stayed close, ready to help if she needed it. "How do you feel?" Owen asked. Isla laughed. Actually laughed, not the muted response the collar had allowed. "I feel everything. It is too much. It is perfect. It is terrifying." She looked at him, seeing him clearly for the first time. "Thank you. You did all the hard work. I just held your hand." Over the next few days, Isla learned who she was without the collar. She was still fierce, still predatory, but she was also capable of gentleness. She laughed at Owen's terrible jokes. She cried when remembering her childhood before the collar. She felt anger that was sharp and clean instead of dulled and distant. She was herself. Finally, after 15 years, she was herself. The Talon's edge was almost ready to fly. Isla could leave whenever she wanted. But as she worked beside Owen, teaching him Draken combat forms while he taught her human card games. She realized something important. She did not want to leave. Not yet. Maybe not ever. This place, this human, this strange salvage yard on a frontier colony felt more like home than the palace ever had. The Colonial Enforcement Shuttle appeared on scanners just after dawn. Owen saw it first, checking his morning alerts while drinking something humans called coffee. His face went pale. "We got a problem." Isla joined him at the terminal. Lieutenant Commander Rashid Holt's face filled the screen, his expression stern and official. "This is Colonial Enforcement to the salvage yard of Owen Garrett. We are inbound to inspect the crashed alien vessel on your property. Prepare for arrival in 1 hour." The transmission ended before Owen could respond. "They want the ship," Isla said. "They will claim it as salvage and imprison me for questioning." Owen ran calculations on his datapad, his fingers moving fast. "They're not wrong legally. The ship crashed on my property, but colonial law says any military-grade alien technology can be seized for security purposes. Holt's been looking for a career-making case. This is it. Then I will fight." "No." Owen looked at her seriously. "You fight. You prove you're dangerous. They'll call in galactic military support. This whole colony becomes a battlefield, and innocent people die. That's not who you are anymore." Isla wanted to argue, but he was right. The older would have fought without thinking. The newer, the one without the collar, had to be smarter. "Then what do we do?" Owen smiled, that strange human expression that meant he had a plan. "We make the ship worthless." They spent the next hour in frantic work. Owen showed Isla exactly which components to damage and which to hide. They burned out circuits in ways that looked accidental. They collapsed sections of the reactor chamber. They destroyed weapon systems beyond repair. But Owen did it carefully, hiding intact components in places the inspectors would not think to look, creating damage that looked catastrophic but could be reversed. "Why not truly destroy it?" Isla asked as they worked. "Because you might need it someday. And because I'm not in the business of destroying beautiful things, just making them look broken." Owen wiped grease from his hands. "Trust me, I've been fooling inspectors since I was 16. Lieutenant Commander Holt arrived exactly on time with 6 armed officers. He was a tall human with dark skin and eyes that calculated everything. He looked at the workshop, at Owen, at Isla, and Isla could see him adding up the situation. "Mr. Garrett, I'm here to inspect the crashed vessel. Be my guest, Commander. Though I warn you, there's not much left to inspect." Holt's team swarmed over the Talon's edge like insects. They ran scans, took samples, pulled apart damaged systems. Isla stood beside Owen, trying to look defeated and scared instead of dangerous, playing a role the way Owen had taught her. After 2 hours, Holt approached them. "The ship is destroyed. Reactor dead, weapons systems fried, hull integrity compromised. It's worthless as salvage or technology." He turned to Isla. "You're the pilot?" "Yes. You're lucky to be alive. Crashes like that usually leave nothing but ash." Holt's eyes narrowed. "Strange that you're both uninjured. Strange that the crash pattern suggests controlled landing rather than catastrophic failure. Strange that a simple mechanic would harbor an alien pilot without reporting it." Owen shrugged. "She needed help. I gave it. That's not illegal. Harboring potentially dangerous aliens without notification is illegal. Actually, I could arrest you both right now. But you won't," Owen said calmly. "Because the ship's worthless. I haven't broken any laws you can prove, and arresting us creates paperwork you don't want. You came here for a prize. There's no prize. We're just 2 people trying to survive on the frontier." Holt stared at Owen for a long moment. Then he laughed, short and sharp. "You're clever. I'll give you that. But I'll be watching, Garrett. Both of you. If I find out you've been hiding anything, if I discover this was some kind of smuggling operation, I will come back. And next time, I won't be polite." The enforcement team left. Owen and Isla waited until their shuttle disappeared into the sky before they moved. Then Owen sat down hard on the workshop floor, shaking slightly. "That was too close," he said. Isla sat beside him. "You were brilliant." "I was terrified." "Holt's not stupid. He knows something's wrong. He just can't prove it." Owen looked at her. The ship's fixable, but it'll take another month to restore what we broke. And Holt will be watching. You stay here, you're in danger. If I leave, you're in danger. He will assume you helped me escape. They sat in silence, the weight of their situation settling over them. Finally, Owen spoke. I never told you why I really helped you. That first day, when you crashed, you said because I needed help. That was part of it. But the real reason, Owen's voice was soft. My daughter. She's 8 years old. Smart, fierce, doesn't let anyone tell her who to be. When I saw you in that wreckage, saw that collar around your neck, I thought about what would happen if someone tried to break her spirit like that. Try to make her controllable. I thought about how I'd want someone to help her, to give her a chance to be herself. He looked at Isla. You reminded me why I became a mechanic in the first place. To fix broken things. To make them whole again. Isla felt emotions surge through her, overwhelming and real. Gratitude. Affection. Something deeper she did not have words for yet. An emergency transmission cut through the moment. Dr. Amara's face appeared on the terminal, panicked. Owen, Isla, you need to hear this. The Draken Sovereignty just issued a warrant for my arrest. They're calling the collar removal illegal surgery on a member of the royal family. They're sending a warship to collect me. They know I did the procedure on your colony. Owen and Isla exchanged looks. The danger had just escalated far beyond colonial enforcement. When do they arrive? Owen asked. 48 hours. Maybe less. Amara's voice shook. I am sorry. I didn't mean to bring this down on you. Not your fault. Owen said. We'll figure something out. The transmission ended. Isla stood, her mind racing. A Draken warship meant military forces. Meant her brother Talek, who commanded the frontier fleet. Meant the council wanted to make an example of everyone who helped her. I will not let them hurt you or Amara, Isla said. I will surrender myself before that happens. No. Owen stood beside her. We don't surrender. We think. We plan. We find a human solution. He smiled despite the fear in his eyes. Trust me, I'm good at fixing impossible problems. The Draken warship arrived exactly 40 hours later, hanging in orbit like a blade over the colony. Commander Talek's voice boomed through every communication device on the planet, cold and absolute. This is Commander Talek of the Draken Sovereignty to the human colony of Denmar's Rest. You are harboring a fugitive member of the royal family and a criminal who performed illegal surgery. Surrender Princess Isla and Dr. Amara Singh within 6 hours, or we will destroy the salvage yard and everyone in it. This is your only warning. The colonial government panicked immediately. Governor Wells contacted Owen directly, voice shaking. Mr. Garrett, you need to hand them over. We cannot fight a Draken warship. We have families here. Children, please. Owen looked at Isla. She stood by the window, staring up at the ship that carried her brother. I will go, she said quietly. I will not let innocents die for me. No. Owen pulled up his communication terminal. We're not fighting, and you're not surrendering. We're doing something humans are really good at. We're going to talk. He opened a direct channel to the warship. Talek's face appeared on screen, silver scales polished, commander's insignia gleaming. His eyes widened slightly when he saw Isla standing beside Owen. Little sister, you look different without your collar. I am different without my collar, Isla said. Her voice was steady, strong. And I am not coming back. You do not have a choice. You are Draken. You are property of the sovereignty. Actually, Owen interrupted, she's a sentient being with rights under galactic law. And I'm proposing we settle this legally. A formal debate, broadcast across neutral channels. If you win, Isla surrenders. If she wins, you acknowledge her autonomy and leave. Talek laughed. You think you could debate Draken law? Human? No. But she can. Owen looked at Isla. And I think you're afraid of what she'll say. The challenge hung in the air. Talek's pride would not let him back down from a public debate, and Owen knew it. After a long moment, Talek nodded. Fine. Tomorrow, in the Colony Assembly Hall, I will enjoy breaking her arguments in front of the galaxy. The debate was scheduled for noon. The assembly hall filled with colonists, reporters, and observers from a dozen neutral species. Dr. Amara sat in the front row, her fate tied to the outcome. Owen stood beside Isla backstage, helping her prepare. You know what you want to say? He asked. I know what I need to say. Isla straightened her shoulders. Without the collar, she felt everything. Fear, determination, hope. Thank you, Owen, for showing me I was worth saving. You always were. You just needed someone to hand you the tools. The debate began with formal declarations. Talek argued that Isla was bound by blood and duty to serve his sovereignty, that her refusal brought shame to their house, that removing the collar was theft of government property. He spoke with the confidence of someone who had never been challenged. Then Isla spoke. My brother talks about duty and honor, but there is no honor in what was done to me. When I was 14 years old, I defended myself against a noble who attacked me in my own chambers. For that crime of survival, the council put a collar on me that stole 15 years of my life. She turned to face Talek directly. You were there, brother. You held me down while they fused it to my spine. You looked away when I screamed. Where was your honor then? Talek's scales darkened with anger, but he said nothing. Isla continued, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall and beyond, to every species watching across the galaxy. The Dreeken are proud warriors. We hunt, we fight, we survive. But somewhere along the way, the council forgot what strength really means. Real strength is not breaking those who are different. Real strength is allowing them to grow. She pulled up holographic images of the collar, medical scans showing the damage it had done. This device did not make me civilized. It made me a prisoner in my own mind. It took away my choices, my emotions, myself. And when I crashed on this world and a human mechanic showed me more compassion than my own family ever did, I finally understood something important. Islam met her brother's eyes. I'm not Dreeken property. I'm not your sister anymore. I am myself. Free. Whole. And I choose to be better than what you made me. The silence in the hall was absolute. Then someone started clapping. A human colonist in the back row. Then another. Then more. The applause spread through the crowd like fire. Talek stood rigid, his command mask cracking. Father will never accept this. Father stopped being my father the day he allowed the collar. I did not need his acceptance. Isla's voice was gentle now, almost sad. But I hope someday you understand why I had to leave. Why some cages, brother, must be broken. The broadcast ended. Galactic channels exploded with commentary. Other Dreeken noble families began questioning their own methods. The council faced pressure from dozens of worlds. Sovereign Callus himself issued a statement within hours, disowning Isla completely, but acknowledging her legal autonomy. It was the closest to surrender the Dreeken sovereignty had ever come. Talek left without another word. The warship departed. Dr. Amara was cleared of all charges. 6 months later, the salvage yard had transformed into Haven Station, a repair hub and refuge for outcasts across the frontier. Isla ran security and flight training. Owen ran technical operations. Amara joined as chief medical officer. Word spread quickly through underground networks. There was a place where species worked together, where broken things, mechanical and otherwise, could be fixed. Owen found Isla on the landing pad late one evening, watching ships come and go. Thinking about home, he asked. This is home. Isla smiled, her scales catching the setting sun. Everything before was just waiting. Any regrets? Only one. I wish I had crashed here sooner. She looked at Owen, this human mechanic who had given her back herself. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for not giving up on yourself. They stood together, watching a new ship approach for repairs. Another outcast looking for refuge. Another broken thing waiting to be made whole. Princess Isla of the Dreeken was gone. In her place stood someone better. Someone free. Someone who had chosen her own fate and built something no empire could ever break. Someone finally, truly alive.